Hello and welcome to today's student live stream, student live stream even. We're going to be talking to a couple of students at DMU and just getting to know a little bit more about their experiences and what DMU can offer you. So my name's Jake, I'm part of our social media team, but I won't be doing this alone. I'm also joined by Neem, Barnaby and Caroline. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
So we're going to have a bit of a go around first and sort of find a bit more out about you guys before we ask some questions and sort of get to know a bit more what it's like to live at DMU. So if we go clockwise around the table, I guess. Neem, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Neve. I'm a third year student, so I've just graduated. I did drama, so I spent most of my time on campus, and I also lived on campus. So yeah, that's who I am.
Fair enough. Coming down then to Caroline.
Hi everyone, I'm Caroline. I'm also just graduated from DMU. I studied English language and media, so I was across 2 different departments at DMU. And in first year, I lived on campus, and then in my second and third year, I lived in private accommodation.
Fantastic. And finally, rounding out the trio, I guess, Barnaby, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. Yes, so as you said, my name is Barnaby. I'm also studying, or have just studied drama. I've come to the end of my 3 years, but it has been great. And like, I commuted to university, though I do feel, particularly in my third year, to the amount of hours I was spending on campus, I pretty much have lived on it. So I'm excited to answer some questions today.
Fantastic. Before we get started, I do have to say it's quite a nice trick of the camera. It does look like Caroline and Barnaby are sat on the same sofa at the moment.
Oh, it does.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that.
So I think we'll start off with probably one of the difficult questions, I guess. So sort of, why did you choose DMU? So we'll start off with Barnaby.
Yeah, so I chose DMU because, well, there's a few reasons. The first reason was that, as I said, I studied drama, and coming on campus, it was so clear that the arts were so central to the university. I felt going to other open days that drama and kind of arty subjects were pushed aside, not really that important, because they were interested in maths and stuff like that, was like the important subjects. But then the kind of arty stuff was kind of not kind of as relevant. It was more just to have a course, it seemed. Like other universities had it kind of pushed off at other parts of the city where you'd have to get like trains or buses or something to get to different buildings. And at DMU, it was so clear that, coming on campus and you see all of these like renovations and new buildings that have gone up, and they're constantly renovating, even within our, throughout our 3 years here. They've brought in new rake seating into the Pace building, which means that we can have, it's great to bring a public audience in to come and have a sit down show with like proper seating arrangements. And they've been sorting out the whole outside of the building, and they do all sorts. Of course, there's the VJ Patel building, which is, and they just pay so much money. Like it's crazy, like how much funding is going into all the subjects at DMU and how everything is important, and how it's ingrained in other activities like the DMU Gospel Choir, which are always around somewhere on campus. Like, I think you honestly, we hear them all the time. And the DMU Demon Radio, and lots of different activities where kind of the arts actually influences a lot of kind of everyday university life. And the other reason I chose DMU was just because of how friendly it was. Every time I came on an open day or I came on a taster day, like I definitely got the sense from everyone that this is such a friendly place with friendly staff. And that was really important to me because I didn't want to go on a course where I was going to be really nervous or anxious of my lecturers for the next 3 years. I knew that for me to thrive, I needed supportive lecturers. And I can say now, 3 years after, that was a good choice.
Absolutely fantastic. That's just a great answer to start us off with. And you make a good point about like the closeness of everything, like especially with campus universities, you usually expect to be quite close together, but with DMU being a city university, you sort of expect it to be a bit more spread out. But the fact that it's all together is really nice. It makes it feel a little bit more of a community, I guess is the way of putting it. But yeah, Caroline, do you have anything to add yourself?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything. I chose it because of how it's just all close together and you can just easily walk between the buildings. Yeah, that was a really strong factor to me compared to other universities. And then just the location in general, being in the city centre was something that was really important for me because I come from a really small village in the middle of nowhere. So I really wanted to experience sort of city life. And Sort of university is so close to the city centre. It's a very short walk. In between my lectures, I used to just pop to town for lunch or just do a bit of shopping, and that was a really appealing factor for me when I was looking at different universities and then choosing DMU.
Absolutely. The closeness to town is a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because it's really nice that you can go there and shop, but also you can just go there and shop, and suddenly you don't have a bank account. And finally, Neve, why did you choose DMU?
Yeah, so I echo definitely what the others have said with the campus. It is a very, very beautiful campus. It's very new, so like the buildings and the architecture of the buildings are gorgeous. It doesn't feel like you're going to school like you used to. It's not like you're just going to sixth form or college. It feels like you've grown up into something completely different. And because it's also new and lovely, it just feels more mature, and it felt like you're starting a new chapter rather than feeling like you're still in school and it's quite derelict. You're in something new and it's quite inspirational. It feels like when you walk on campus you're actually motivated to do something rather than skipping your classes and maybe just staying in bed. You're happy to walk on campus because it's so nice. And I also feel like, especially with how close it is as well, it makes it really ideal for everyone, depending on where you live when you're on campus. Even in private accommodation, you're not that far away. Like the furthest you live is about 15 minutes walk. So it's a 15-minute walk to campus, and that's it. And then you're here, and the walk itself is usually really pleasant. We tend to have a lot of greenery around the campus, so there's multiple parks, lovely rivers, just a lot of nice places. So you're constantly surrounded by greenery, which I felt like for me was a really important thing because, like Caroline, I also live in the middle of nowhere in a little village. I can look out my window and all I can see right now is the forest. So it feels like a home away from home, even though you're in a big city and it's not hard to get to the city. It's also really, really easy to just go have your lunch on a park. And I feel like that was the main factor for me.
Absolutely, I think it's a really good point. Is as a city, we're quite a green place, and it's quite great to have a place to just go and get a break. So, sort of leading on from that, a slightly different question, but related, I guess, is sort of how did you know that DMU was right for you? Because that's a big thing. Obviously, it's a lot of uncertainty when you're choosing a university. So, would anyone like to jump in first, or do I have to go and pick someone again? Okay, cool. Carol, oh sorry, pardon me. Go on. You were about to start.
Yeah, so for me, there was kind of a moment when I realized it was right for me, and it was when I was in my audition, and I was sat in the venue at DMU, and it's a lovely building. Again, that's the performance space, and it kind of is multifunctional. You can do all sorts with it, and I was just kind of looking around the facilities and just kind of sat there getting nervous by audition, and it kind of really just hit me like this was the university I wanted to come to. Like looking at just everything about it was just right, and the fact, as I mentioned earlier, the fact that they're constantly improving it, and the courses as well, not just the campus. The courses, they're always trying to get industry professionals in, always trying to get us to work with professionals and different experiences, go on DMU global trips that will benefit our course and stuff, and yeah, I just kind of really got just such a sense. And then the other thing was just that, yeah, as I mentioned, like everyone I spoke to, like all the lecturers, like always made me feel very welcome. And my audition day, I had an interview, and Alyssa Clark was the person who interviewed me, and she was so supportive and lovely that she asked me at the end if I had any more questions, and I think I went on and asked her about 12 because she was so like supportive and like so like she was so encouraging, and that was so nice, especially getting the sense that in the interview, I got the sense that like she wanted me to do really well, and she was almost kind of like nodding her head and almost like kind of getting really excited. The more I answered kind of well, the more I got like such a nice response, and it was just a whole experience, like the students, the staff, like everyone was just so lovely, and that I think like that's so important because that's what you're gonna, those people like the lecturers and the people that you're going to be on the course with, like you're going to be working with them like every day, so you kind of need them to be really nice people. And it was so clear to me that it's not just like a front, it's not just like something where on an open day like all the fun comes out, everyone's really smiley and friendly. It was so clear kind of from kind of like I said, the audition day going to the taster day, it was just so clear that this was something which like they're getting it right too often for it not to be, and too many people are saying it for it not to be like how it actually is.
Absolutely, fantastic answer. Neve, do you have any sort of I'm presuming slightly different opinions because not everyone has an audition when they join.
Yeah, so I feel like I didn't know it was right for me when I first came here. I'll be honest, I'll hold my hands up and say I literally feel like when I came, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure maybe if this was right for me or if I made the right choice. And I feel like it's okay to have these feelings because it's just normal to have these worries and being anxious about starting a new place, moving to a new environment. But I feel like when it really hit me was maybe a few months in, and even reflecting back now, I definitely know it was right for me. And I think that's because of how relaxed it is here, compared to maybe a few other universities where it's very, very serious, or they have really, really high expectations of you, and you feel really pressured. Um, I feel like this university pushes you rather than expecting you to be something maybe that you is far away, for a far reach. For example, here they say, "I see your potential, and I'm here to help you." Um, and what it was, I think, was the lecturers here. They say, "Okay, you're struggling, but how can we help you? What's right for you?" Rather than just saying, "You're struggling, try harder, revise more." It's no, okay, we are here to help you. We have this facility, we have this facility. There is these people who know this to help you. And also they say like, well, join these societies, join these groups. They actively go out of their way to help you. And I feel like it's so nice and warming that I feel relaxed here and I feel like I genuinely belong. People care, and that's always nice for me. So I think in terms of knowing it was right, I think it's the people, definitely the people who you're surrounded with make you feel like you're very welcomed.
For sure, and I think that's going to be especially important this year that we've got such a supportive network, and with the challenges that we're facing at the moment, it's really great to see our teachers, and not just our teachers, our staff and our students being really supportive like that. Caroline, did you have anything else to add yourself?
Yeah, sort of very similar points, but I think for me it was when I got accepted to join the cheerleading squad. So you have to do not auditions. I can't think what they call it, but sort of like an audition. And then they select certain people, and when I got selected for that, that made me feel right at home because after the first sort of training sessions and the first socials, I knew that these were sort of my kind of people and the kind of people that I knew I'd be friends with instantly. So I think that sort of reassured me that there's always going to be people that you like and get on with well at university. You just sort of have to find them, find the people that have your common interests. And then once I sort of settled down with them, I knew that DMU is definitely the right place for me.
Absolutely, and I think societies like cheerleading and stuff like that are incredibly important to the university experience. And like, obviously we'll get into it in a little bit more detail in a bit. We've got more questions, don't worry, it's not just those two. But I completely 100% agree with you. So we are going to move on to a couple more questions. If you do have any questions at home, please do feel free to drop them in the comments, and we will answer them to the best of our ability. I have seen that there's someone who's asking about the fashion brand manager scope in the UK. I will say none of us are fashion students. We don't really know too much about the course. We couldn't particularly tell you much ourselves. But the best place to probably go is to have a chat with our clearing team, as I've put the numbers down there on the board, as they do know, they will be able to give you a bit more information than what we already have available online. Also, make sure to check out the website. We've got plenty of advice for all of our different courses on there. But yeah, just those numbers that I've put down at the bottom is the place to go. So either call on 0116 257 7000 or WhatsApp on 07970 655 800. I always feel like I'm doing like the vote now or something like that when I come out with those. But anyway, we're going to move on to a couple more questions. So I think we'll probably piggyback off of talking about societies and sort of what did you guys manage to get involved with when you were at DMU? So stuff like volunteering or global or placements or societies. So I think we'll probably go with Caroline first, given as we keep coming to our end. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. So as I said, I did cheerleading, so we were actually really successful with that. And one of my favourite moments at university was when we actually won grand champions with our cheerleading squad. So that was a really big moment for us and for the university. Aside from that, I also did an internship with the university. So the university have really good work experience opportunities, which is something I've noticed that DMU stands out to other universities. When I've been talking to my friends from home who go to different universities, they've always been really impressed with how many work experience opportunities I've been able to have with the university. So I did an internship for the careers team, and it was in marketing, and that was a really good way to sort of have like a feeler of what if I wanted to go into that field, and I decided I did after doing that. And it was really manageable because it was with the university. It was 10 hours a week alongside your studies, but for me, as I only had 8 hours of contact anyway, it was very manageable. And because it's run by the university, they understand if you had deadlines, they'd be like, okay, you don't have to work so much this week. And it was also a paid opportunity. So that was really important to get some extra money while you're at university. And because it was run by the university, again, you know, you're going to be given a fair wage. Yeah, that was a really good opportunity. And then I also did some DMU global trips. I went to Thailand to teach English, and that was also something I would never have done again if I hadn't have gone to DMU. So yeah, I think DMU offers a lot of things different to other universities.
Absolutely. That Thailand sounds incredible. I've never gone myself, but it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so good.
Neve, are there any more that you might like to add on, talk about?
Yeah. So I've been very similar. We have very similar experiences. I also went to Thailand. I did a few. It's because DMU offers such good global opportunities. So I'm not sure if everyone knows, but DMU do offer global trips. So you can go on. I think it's two a year, and you get funding as well. So DMU sometimes pay a big chunk of it for you. It makes these trips extremely affordable, and if you get given the opportunity, you're gonna snap it by the hands. You're gonna grab them because it's these experiences you're never gonna get anywhere else for the same price. So this is why I went to Thailand and volunteered. I've also been to New York. So when we went to New York, me and Barnaby went, and it was a fraction of the price. And we had such a great time, such a great experience. And also, in addition, me and Barnaby also have been to Belgium. And when we went to Belgium, because of the university, it cost us, I think, £30
Yeah,
to go to
it's
Belgium.
crazy.
It was like insane. And that also covered our accommodation. It covered 3 meals a day, and just for £30. And I don't think you would have probably gotten this anywhere else if you were doing it
No.
on yourself, or maybe with any other university. And I think the fact that DMU do this and they really want to enrich our student experience shows, and obviously is really, really beneficial for us. But in addition, as well, I did other volunteering experiences. So DMU also do a DMU local skiing. So I think it's within a mile or something around the university.
The
Um,
Square Mile Project.
yeah, the Square Market. There's lots and lots of opportunities. So, for example, I did dementia training. I also worked at a prison, and I wouldn't have been able to do any of these things without the university. Obviously, they're really, really good for your CV, but also they're really good for you as a person. Obviously, it's really interesting for me to go and talk to people about how I've been to prison, but not like how I went to
Maybe don't
prison.
open it like that.
Yeah, we've got people genuinely interested. And I think it's definitely because of DMU gave me the opportunity. I snatched it by the hands. And obviously, there is loads of societies and things as well that I obviously have joined and been in. But I think in terms of what makes us unique, I think it's definitely the opportunities extra, not just the societies, not just the studying. It's also these global trips, these volunteering things that you can do here.
Absolutely. I have to say I'm slightly jealous of you guys. When I was at DMU, I went to Berlin, and that was it. Like, it was a really great trip.
You
Don't
should
get
have
me
been
wrong.
involved
I
more.
should have gone. There was an opportunity to go to Tokyo with my course. That would have been incredible.
Yes, yes, it would have been.
But I didn't have any money. But anyway, we will scoot around back to Barnaby. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, so I think you both have covered it like really well. So I completely agree. Just to go back to what Neve was talking about is going to Belgium and the fact that it literally cost us like 30 quid because we actually paid as well. I think one of the good things is, you know, we paid £100 at first, but then they gave us a refund and gave us over half of that money back because the university did not need to spend it. They ended up being able to get it for cheaper. So if you overpay on the trip, then you'll get it back, which is really cool. And then the thing with that trip, which was so cool, was that we actually went to perform in an international theatre festival. And so we had a professional director from outside the university come and work with us, kind of outside of classes. And we basically devised this show and got it all ready outside our classes at uni before we went. And then, of course, we went with her and to Belgium, and we went, and I think we didn't realize how big it was. We all saw it as just like a little university trip or something. And we got there, and there was like full on professional companies, you know, people selling their touring shows and stuff, giving us previews and things. And people that are literally touring all over the world, like on the same festival as us. It was crazy. And, you know, just a chance to like see their work and obviously network with them. Even it was such a good opportunity that our director, who's like, you know, she's already up there thriving. She was going around networking with everyone every night. Like she's getting in the know with everyone. And so, you know, and she's not a student doing that. She's someone who's already established, who's already working. And then, yeah, as Neve mentioned, we also went to New York, which was, I would never have been able to have gone to New York myself. There was an opportunity in my college to go, I just couldn't afford it. But because DMU gave you the bursary, it meant that it was possible. And then we went to Broadway to manage to see some shows. But then a lot of the activities actually were covered in like, you know, the bursary the bursary and the price that we'd already paid. So we went to the Museum of Modern Art, and we went to the United Nations, and these things, like, they're just like they're such iconic places, that it was just so cool to have been into it, particularly with the United Nations too. Of there's so much on a human level. I think whatever you study, kind of whatever course you do, you can appreciate, and it's really relevant to whatever you do and whatever work. And I also did a placement as well. And so I was the assistant director on Memoirs of an Asian Football Casual, it was a big production at Curve Theatre, and it was directed by Nikolai Foster, who's like literally like the main director at Curve. He pretty much is a boss and runs a building, and he's verified on Twitter, so he's a pretty big director. And so that was incredible, like to make those connections. And what was so cool about it was I wasn't just treated like an intern. I was treated like a member of staff, so they invited me to like the after work kind of parties, or like if there was like a leaving do, or there was like there was a press night and stuff, and all of that, as well as obviously like the hard work of it, I was invited to. And then the other thing is that with our university, all of our lighting and sound equipment that we use in our performance studios are the exact same that you would get in professional theatres all across the country. And so that meant when I walked into that placement at Curve, I was able, when we came to our technical week, I knew what was going on. I was able to help, and it meant that I wasn't just kind of sat there a bit blown away and not really knowing what to say or how to help, because it's the exact same equipment, the same software. It meant that I could actually be useful, and it was so cool to have that opportunity to learn about it in university, have our technicians guide us through how to use it, and then go in to Curve and actually apply that. And yeah, like I just think there's so many opportunities. Neve mentioned societies as well. I wish I'd joined more societies, because I think everyone that talks about them has seemed to have had so much fun, and it's such a good way to, it's just such a good stress relief. And then I also learned Spanish as a side thing, so you can do that through DMU Global as well. So I learned Spanish for 2 hours a week, and that was with completely different people from different courses. And so that was great to do something where it's similar. I would say it's similar with society. So do something where what you're doing is not graded, and you've not that pressure. You're just doing it for fun. And even if you are kind of on a busy week, like for me, it was always like, well, it's only 2 hours. Like the stress relief of it was worth it, and getting to meet different people and speak to different people. I then also went to Valencia as part of that a class, which was so cool. Again, that was through DMU Global. And the good thing about that trip, and a lot of trips that are similar, was we were given the flexibility to fly out earlier before the trip started, or fly out later. So some people flew out before. I actually flew out later, which meant that I could stay a few more days. And then I didn't know anyone on that trip. It just happened to be that there was a few people that had also done the same thing as me. So by the time that week had passed, we'd all kind of grew a lot closer and stuff. So we all managed to kind of hang out and do all those activities that you walk around in the week kind of seeing, oh, we should do that, but then never get around to doing it. So like, I think you can tell I've waffled on a bit, but from all of it, it's like, you can tell there's so much to get involved in.
You've got a lot to talk about, to be fair. You've got a lot of great experiences that you like to talk about. Having said that, I will have to apologise to Barnaby because the next question that I've got lined up, you are not going to be able to contribute too much. And that's because I want to ask a bit more about university accommodation. So sort of, how was it for you guys to living in university? How do you find it? And also, do you have any tips for any students moving into accommodation? Anything they should either watch out for, or perhaps bring with them that they might not have thought of? So yeah, we'll go Neve first. Stephen, apologies.
It's all right. Yeah, so I lived in student accommodation for the first year, and then the second 2 years I lived in private accommodation, which I'll explain in a second. So when I originally came, I went to Filbert Village. It's the on campus accommodation provided by DMU. It is the furthest one away, so it's about 15 minutes away. It's not that far, but is classed as one of the furthest away. Absolutely lovely. I think for me, the reason I chose it was because, one, it was really close to the gym, and at the time I was already at that gym, so it was ideal for me. As well as it was a little bit bigger because it was a little bit further away from the campus and the other accommodations, it meant that my bedroom was a little bit bigger, my bathroom was a bit bigger, my kitchen and my living room were a little bit bigger. And I think I really appreciated the space. The people that I lived with, obviously I didn't know them when I first moved in, but I did get to know two of them extremely well. The two lads that I lived with my first year, sadly one of them did leave, but I still stay in contact with them now. And it just shows that because you live with someone, you do spend a lot of quality time with them. And one of the other guys that I lived with my first year, I decided to live with again in my second year, and we are still really close now. And we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for the accommodation that we were in. We had this, we lived together, we had this shared interest. So we watched movies together, and you do create bonds with the people that you live with. And it can be scary. You can think that when you first join, it's going to be quite scary and you don't know anyone. But when you just leave your room, maybe that once, and just maybe have dinner together, you can really create relationships. And if maybe you don't get on with anyone who you live with, which would be really sad, but you've got your next door neighbours, and just knock on the door next door, and I'm sure they're happy to talk to you. We had multiple people that we were friends with who lived maybe one floor above us or across from us, because these accommodations are so sociable that you can meet everyone. It might be a bit different this year, but you still have group chats and things where you probably all will be talking, and then you'll create smaller group chats with the people that you get close with. And that, I feel like you need to do that. It's a really good thing to do. And then in terms of my second and third year, I lived in the same house because I really liked the house I lived in. It was a very nice modern house. We had our own private gate area, and it was lovely. And then again as well, it was like a little community. A lot of the places that you can live for your second and third year, for example, do end up being little communities again, because you're all on the same street or you're all in the same little block. So you see these people on a day-to-day basis when you're walking to lectures, and tend to have little parties together as well, because you live close to each other. So yeah, in terms of where you live, there's so many people around you. You tend to make friends with everyone.
Fantastic. Caroline, do you have anything else to sort of add on? Anything about your personal experiences?
Yeah, my experience is quite similar, though. In first year, I lived in Newark Point, which is probably the closest accommodation to campus. It's on campus. Yeah, my bedroom, I could actually see into the Vijay Patel building, so that's how close it was. So if you were in Vijay Patel, you're very lucky. You could just roll out of bed, and even for me, it was probably like a 3-minute walk to Clapham. So that appealed to me when I was coming to DMU. I thought, I want to be close to this to the campus and everything, but it's personal choice, because as Neve said, if you're a bit further out, the rooms are bigger, so it's whether you prefer basically whatever you prefer. And yeah, it was really easy to meet people in your accommodation. As Neve said, one of my best friends lived on my floor but not actually in my flat. But it's really easy to mingle, though I don't know how it will be this year. But one of the advice I would say before going is to join your accommodation page. There's normally a page on Facebook or a group that you can join, and then you can meet the people who you're going to be living with and chat with them a bit, see what they're like. And you can also meet people in your floor or your whole block that you might not have met if you hadn't joined the group. And that's a really great way to meet people if you don't necessarily get on with everyone in your group, in your flat. And then in second and third year, I lived in private accommodation also, but it is really easy to still stay in contact with everyone, because everyone sort of lives in a similar area around the city. It's not too spread out, so your friends probably will only be a couple of doors down if they live in a different house to you. So yeah, that's the main one, I would say.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree. When I was at university, I was at Bede Hall in my first year. And particularly slightly embarrassing story was I woke up at 5 to 9 with a 9 a.m. lecture, and just managed to make it in without counting as late. Like literally, as he was starting, just managed to run in. So they are really close to campus, which can have a benefit if you find yourself in a situation like that. But no, I'm going to quickly answer a question from the audience here. So I've got a message from Yusuf asking, does anyone know if the graduation ceremony that is in January 2021 will be digital or in the venue as per normal? Obviously, at the moment, it's a situation that everyone's monitoring very closely, what's going on in the world. So obviously we have your DMU Future. We've got our blended learning approach where we're going to be online and in person. The short answer is we don't quite know as of yet. It's not been cancelled, but it might be delayed, or it might be run digitally. But we're keeping a close eye on everything that's going on, and once we know the answer, we will let you guys know the answer to the best of our abilities. Okay, but thank you very much for the question. We're going to roll on now to another one of the ones that we got submitted before the stream. Where are we? There we go. What do you think to Leicester? Or rather, what's your experiences of Leicester? I know obviously Barnaby, it's a bit of home turf, so I think if you want to kick off yourself.
Yeah, so like as you said, I'm from Leicester, so obviously like I do love it, but I chose to study here, and I think there's just so much to do here. Like you can't really get bored. There's always stuff going on, so that particularly like because the campus is so central to Leicester, you can often get involved with quite a lot. There's often festivals and stuff because it is so multicultural. We often celebrate things like Diwali and lots of different things. But of course, anyone can go to these things. They're big open festivals. We have Pride as well, and like everything that you usually have, and the African Caribbean Festival. We also do have quite a lot of kind of walks on, not like marches, but kind of like those kind of things. So particularly there's often 2 or 3 a year, often for Leicester City, the football club. We came together as a city, particularly when unfortunately the chairman of Vichai died. But then of course I went last year.
He went. That's it. He just went.
Oh, hang on. I kind of went off for a second.
That's okay. Not a problem.
Yes, I went last year to the March of Vichai, a year after it had happened, and it was kind of just really just as emotional as it was when it first happened. But I mean, what the nice thing about it was the city all came together, and it was kind of a mixture of like a celebration. Some people kind of wanted to be more respectful or feeling kind of more sad about it, whereas other people more saw it as a celebration of kind of everything that was achieved. And I think it was really nice that as a city we kind of all came together. And the fact that does happen, it doesn't just happen for that, like it does happen a lot, and there's other stuff. And I think DMU, what's really nice is DMU's relationship with, of course, Leicester City is like really strong. They really facilitated on those marches and stuff, walk through campus, and there's also so many like takeaway places. It's not really, you can't really get a bad like takeaway. Like there's always, because there's good ones, like of course we have the bad ones, but like because there's so many, like really we've got the best. Like we have pretty much 5-star restaurants in like pretty Chinese, like Indian, like all the different things, and there's just so much, like there's so many good places. There's not just one place that you have to go to. You should definitely check out when you come. Sometimes you should check out the Golden Mile and Narber Road, because they're such multicultural places. They have so many different shops on there, and like you can buy like, or just look at so much. Even in our city centre, there is a lot there. Our city centre is literally only maybe a 10-minute walk from the campus. It's really close. I want to stress as well, Neve said that her accommodation was a 15-minute walk, but I think it's important to stress like it sounds long, but like it really wasn't. Like I think 15 minutes is very generous, and Filbert was that close. Neve's accommodation was that close that we actually ended up doing some rehearsals there, because they had space there. We think one of our friends had a green screen in her accommodation as well, and there's all sorts of things. But yeah, back to Leicester, like honestly, there's just so much. There's a National Space Centre, Curve Theatre. Curve Theatre, again, the relationship's really strong with DMU. Not just, even if you don't just do drama, you know, if you do business, like you can go and do a placement to do with the business side or the marketing side of Curve, because there's a lot of things. And so yeah, there's so many different kind of industries and organizations that DMU is involved with around the city. There's just so much, like, and the lights were, you know, at Christmas, the lights coming on, and that's a big event, everyone coming together for the Christmas lights to come on, and there's so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially with the Filbert thing, I feel like it might be 15 to 20 minutes the first or second time you go, but like with Leicester, a lot of it is you find shortcuts, you begin to work out where everything in the city is, and then suddenly everything becomes a lot more closer. But yeah, no, absolutely fantastic point there about the Curve and stuff, like the Space Centre and everything as well. We'll head on over, I think, to Neve next.
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback on a lot of the things that Barnaby said, because I feel like you stressed everything so well. I think the one thing that's really good about Leicester is most people know where it is. It's a very well-known city, and everywhere in the UK, most people know where Leicester is. It's the heart. It's the heart of the UK, so people know where you are. So, for example, when I went to when I went to Thailand, it was just after the horrible incident that happened, what Bondi was talking about with the man passing away.
The helicopter crash, yeah.
Yeah, with the helicopter crash. But because when I was in Thailand, this is where he was actually originally from. So when I was in Thailand, I actually visited where the guy was put to rest, which I was obviously very fortunate to go see. But everyone knew where Leicester was. Everyone was saying how good Leicester was, how nice the area is, how actually a lot of people from Thailand have visited Leicester before. And at that time, I was in my first year, and I was thinking, wow, how does everyone know where Leicester is? How come it's such a big thing? And I think it does show that it doesn't matter where you're from. Most countries and most people in the UK know where Leicester is, and I think that shows exactly how good Leicester is. I don't want to just say that because obviously I was there, but the fact everyone knows where it is and the fact everyone knows about Leicester, well, obviously it shows really in terms of obviously all the things that you can do here, or the culture that we have. And obviously, if I'm going to go back to like food wise, there is so many lovely foods and drink places that you can go here. And in terms of, because it's very cultural, there is lots of food from different parts of Asia. There is different parts of food from the Caribbean. There is so many different places, and it's so enriching to learn about these things. Because, for example, I've came from middle of nowhere, a very small village that's very English, and it's use fish and chips everywhere. Like there's nothing else. There's absolutely nothing else. So when I came to Leicester, I was like, wow, I can have like a pho. I had no idea what this was when I first got here. And I think that was a big thing for me. And obviously, because we have a big culture here, there is a lot of different types of food places. Like there is halal restaurants. There is a lot of halal places as well, and you get to learn about these experiences and different types of religions and cultures, and I just think it's absolutely incredible. It's fantastic to be in somewhere that's so diverse.
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned again the different food places and different food restaurants. We do have a question from the audience asking, are there any halal restaurants in Leicester? Easy answer. Yes, absolutely. To the point of which even our food village have a halal section as well. So our on university food. Obviously, I'm not entirely sure. I I'm not entirely sure whether or not the food village will be open, at least to begin with, this year. But they do. But there are plenty of different options available for all of the different dietary requirements in Leicester. But we will come around to Caroline now to sort of finish off with what your thoughts are about Leicester.
Yeah, very similar experience. I really like how it seems a big city and there's always stuff going on, but it's not too big either. You're not gonna worry about being in too big a city or getting too lost or anything like that. I think it's like a really good balance between the city life and then there's always parks you can escape to and forget about the city. I think that's a really nice balance about Leicester. And again, for me, like the food, I'd never even heard of a dessert restaurant before I came here. Like I didn't know that was a thing, and now it's like literally my favorite thing. And now being home, I miss dessert so much.
Oh,
Like
exactly the same.
yeah, and Deliveroo and having Uber, just everything in Leicester is so convenient, which definitely relates to it being a nice big city, and just a good location as well. So if you do want to visit a bit more of the UK, like I went to Birmingham for the first time from Leicester on the train. That was really easy, and the train station's not too far from campus. I think it's probably like a 20-minute walk. I don't know, give or take. So yeah, everything you need really is in Leicester, but if you do want to explore a bit more of the UK, Leicester's also such a great location for that.
Absolutely, thank you very much. Right, we're coming towards the end. In fact, we're overrunning a little bit. So we're going to do one last question, then sort of wrap up. Before that, I do want to quickly cover. Someone has asked in the chat what the chances of a student getting a job in Leicester. We have support for that. We have a couple of schemes available at the university, and also there are always jobs going in Leicester for those who want it. As a university, we advise you don't do more than 20 hours if you're studying full time, just because that's not. It's a difficult environment to also be studying a university degree at, because obviously that's quite a full-time pastime. Not pastime. It's a thing. You're doing it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is, yes, we do have support for that, and there is plenty of work available. Just be careful with what you're taking.
You can also you can work at the university as well. So look out for that. We're all, the three of us are all social media ambassadors, and of course the university pays us for to do live streams or to do like open days and things, or you can be like you can work on phones, or there's so much you can get involved with just at the university before you've even walked into the city. So
said it better than I could have. Absolutely, thank you very much. So we're going to go around now with sort of a final question, which is what are your top tips for any people joining DMU this year? So who haven't we gone to yet? We'll go to Neve first.
I think top tips is for your house keys. I think either have a key ring with for them or a lanyard. We usually give out lanyards. About lanyards for the university, so keep them and put your keys on them, because you may lose your house keys quite often, especially if you're socializing. It happens, we've all done it. So try and keep a hold of your keys, and especially your student ID card. We go through a lot of student ID cards. I think the majority of people will probably lose one or two in the time that you're at university, so try and keep it on your lanyard. And keep it in a safe place or in your purse, and make sure you know where your keys on your lanyard are at all times. They're top tips you definitely need to think about when you came.
Absolutely, for sure. I definitely lost my card once or twice, and it sucks when you can't get into a room because you've left your lanyard at home. So make sure to bring them with you. Okay, we'll go clockwise again. So we go Caroline.
Yeah, mine's quite similar, just sort of like some slippers or some sliders or something to make you feel homely in your accommodation. Something you can just pop on if there's like a fire alarm, or I don't know, you just want to quickly grab something from the kitchen. It's just nice to have something you can just slip on rather than just wearing your shoes all the time. Yeah, just like a quick little slippers or something.
Absolutely fantastic answer. I had animal once. That was a bad choice. Like Animal the Muppet.
Yeah, people judge you on your slipper choice.
Yes,
They
yes.
judge your
Make sure
character.
yeah, you could go boring. You could go a plain color, or you could go out there and have something cool and define yourself. Barnaby, finally, any top tips for anyone starting at Leicester?
Yes, I recommend downloading the My DMU app, because on that you'll pretty much have everything you need on there. You can check your emails on there. I really recommend checking your emails and just keeping on top of them, because it's so easy, and like, you know, we have lecturers that send us so many opportunities and like personalized it as not just mass ones for the whole class. Like people, lecturers will see something and they'll send it to us directly because they know it's like interested with the work that we've done. And also you've got your timetable on there. You can book library spaces in there, or classrooms or rehearsal spaces. So everything you'll need really is on that app, and the important phone numbers. I also have the Outlook app downloaded, because that sends me notifications on my phone when I get an email. And so that can be really useful, because the only way lecturers can communicate with us is via email, but a lot of the time it's almost as if it's texting, the speed that they reply. And we have some of our lecturers literally will respond to us like mid-morning, or it's crazy. And I feel like for us, because we all have work for the university, it means that we have to be on it, like, because we're going to miss out on work if we don't check our emails. It's just so easy to do. So like 100% the My DMU app, if you want to, the Outlook app as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I will say to the My DMU app as well, especially this year, it's going to be very useful with finding out a bit more about when you are going on campus, what to do, and all this kind of stuff. So definitely make sure to get the My DMU app if you're joining DMU. So thank you everyone for coming along and watching, and thank you to Neve, Barnaby, and Caroline, especially for being fantastic guests as always. Fantastic, a lot of discussion tonight, and you've given some really good advice, and really helped out a lot. So we're coming towards the end of our stream. So I will just say, obviously, if you are watching, if you're still interested and you haven't applied yet, make sure to get onto our clearing team. The numbers below, as always, are 0116 257 7000 and 07970 655 800. Those are the important numbers. If you're interested, you can WhatsApp or you can call us. Obviously, for international students, that would have a +44 at the start. If there are any questions in the comments that we haven't got around to, I'm sorry, we will cover them afterwards. We will respond afterwards. But with all that said, thank you very much for listening, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.